Hi everyone, my name is Raffael. Thank you. And I want to start today by talking about a couple of trends that we observe that have quite a significant impact on how traditional lending is actually changing. And they're quite dramatic changes. One of which is that we see a change in work environments. So if you look backwards, people used to work, they stayed at their employer for 7, 8 years, 10 years, maybe all their life. That is changing dramatically. And we have freelancers becoming an increasing part of the population. We get into more short-term work. We want to be flexible. And startups certainly have a big contribution to that. So we have a very, very strong demographic. And it's certainly one that the traditional lenders are not able to serve because the traditional scoring method don't apply for that demographic. Secondly, clearly every year in Germany alone we have millions of people that don't go to the branch anymore, that now look to deal with their finance and taking a loan entirely online. And in doing so, they expect a fantastic user experience. So their expectation, like many other verticals, it needs to be fast, it needs to be comfortable, and it needs to be reliable. If they get an offer that they also expect to see in real time, they want this offer to be reliable and not after they submit more documents. Actually, it turns out that it's only half as good as they thought in the beginning. So all of this, maybe I should click on a slide here. We clearly see that the consumer behavior is changing, and there are a couple of really strong shifts and changes that will change the way consumer lending or lending in general will be done going forward. And clearly, the solution to all of that and to address the shortcomings here is to use technology and to enable technology-enabled lending. And in order to do so and to address the challenges that I just mentioned, the only way is to really build the user experience from the ground up. So starting from what the user expects in mind and then designing the customer experience end to end with what the customer needs in mind. And clearly what we also see traditional lenders doing is that they take their traditional way of providing financing to people and just bringing that online or adding a button to their website and saying, look, now there's an online credit as well. But actually, the actual experience behind that is not changing at all. So we have built that experience from the ground up. And let me give you a few examples. So these are like a couple of components in our tech infrastructure. But clearly, you can see, for example, if you want to serve that changing and growing demographic, you will need to look at people differently. You need to be very good at data analytics, risk underwriting, and look at more data, putting that data together, using AI and machine learning. And all of that only allows you then to also serve these customers like self-employed, people in probation period, where there is no 10-year track record at the same employer, but there's more of a change. And in order to address that, the traditional methods from traditional lenders are not working anymore, and that clearly creates a huge opportunity. Also, if you think about the customer experience, as I mentioned, customers demand fast experience, basically take a loan from their sofa. That means that if you want to provide, for example, what we have built at auxmoney is that we have a dedicated scorecard that just looks at bank account data. So based on that account data, which you can provide in an instant online by logging into your bank account, we are able to use that data, categorize that data, but also basically turn that into a risk assessment and translate that or make that part of the pricing and underwriting process. And all of that leads to the experience that the customer ultimately wants, which is a really fast and instant credit decision. So maybe a couple of proof points that auxmoney is delivering on our mission and on the things that I just mentioned. Our NPS, if we compare that, for example, to banks, We are dealing in the credit segment. Banks are usually in the range of the best banks, 10 in Germany, like ING, which have quite a good experience. Our NPS is in excess of 50. We have a very high repeat rate, so customers that came to us for a loan, they come back to us. They don't shop around and compare offers with other banks because they know they get a fair price, they get a fantastic user experience. That's another indicator. And thirdly, maybe the most complex one to achieve is really extending the access to credit to other demographics. And we have Deutsche Bundesbank who made a statement that they say, we find that auxmoney is lending relatively more when banks are lending less. We conclude auxmoney serving borrowers largely considered non-bankable by traditional banks. That is a segment of borrowers that banks are unwilling to supply. And that's a great proof point that we have really been able to deliver on our mission also to extend the access to credit here. So a couple of words on who we are. We're based in Düsseldorf, 280 employees. Last year, we've generated in excess of €500 million of new credit. And few of our investors, Index Ventures, Union Square Ventures, Foundation, Partech, some names you will have heard. And maybe to add here, it's really been a journey where we started with a traditional consumer lending approach, but then have been able to expand to self-employed, freelancers, and access the demographics over the years. Maybe just to close on this, one of the particular beauties of our business model, it's the circle in the middle. So our value proposition, what we can offer to our customers, is actually becoming better all the time. And that is not only because we learn and have interesting insights into how they use the site and the product, but it's inherent in our business model because as we have more data, we are able to put that into a better product that we can offer to our customers. And the way it works is by serving more loans, we have more data. We have also we're a marketplace model, so we are able to show to our investors, our marketplace investors, that there's a longer track record. They reduce their risk premium, what they require, or the return requirement that they want to seek. And with that, we are able to reduce prices further for our customers. The loan product becomes even better, which leads to even more business, and the whole circle starts again. That's really one of the beauties of our particular business model, but also one that requires particular expertise and willingness to use data analytics in a technology-enabled way, so you can really benefit from all these learnings. Thank you very much.